welcome back to another episode of the Color in Cannabis podcast. This week, we're very excited to have Armande from Dunkz. Definitely one of the nicest hash hole brands out there. For folks who don't know what a hash hole is, it's a pre-roll infused with live rosin. And there is a lot of pre-rolls in the market today, and most of them are just kind of so-so. Hash holes are kind of coming into fashion, but this is the first hash hole I've seen that, A, it comes from our community, and B, that's just so well branded. It's beautiful, it's tasty, it's amazing. So Armande, tell me the story of how you started Original Dunkz.
All right, so this is an interesting story. When I first got into the cannabis industry, I was working a lot with Kalia extracts, my buddies Joe, Mark. And
Love Kalia.
They were like, hey, we see that you're kind of tampering around with this hash hole thing. Alien Labs wants to put out a hash hole, and we kind of threw your hat in to see if they would work with you on, manufacturing some hash holes for Alien Labs. So I was really excited because that's like one of the brands that I like really look up to, and like as far as the aesthetics, like their brand identity and being consistent and everything.
Yeah, Alien Labs is amazing.
So I was like, oh yeah. So I kind of took the project on. I just fucked it all up. I wasn't on top of the QC the way that I was supposed to. I was starting to get very busy, and I was happy for the work, but I also had a lot of other projects going on, so I didn't really give it the attention that it deserved. And so the result of that was I had rolled up a few thousand hash holes for Ted and the guys at Alien Labs, and they just weren't good. So I ended up giving him all the product back. I gave him all his money back. I was like, hey, listen, this is my mistake. Hopefully we can figure out a way to work together in the future, and then after that, I was like, I really need to figure this out. So I just kind of like shut everything else down and just like locked in and focused on like how to like perfect the process of manufacturing hash holes.
Okay, so you originally developed Original Dunkz as a manufacturer for other folks?
No, so I actually started like a brand called Dunkz Donuts. It was very closely like marketed like Dunkin' Donuts. Mm-hmm. And when I first did that was probably in like 2022. And rolls, like hash holes, like hand rolls weren't really like as widely known as they are now.
Absolutely.
So I kind of rolled up like 1,000 of them, and people were like, hey, these quality is really good. And a lot of the dispensaries were like, we're not paying, we can't sell a pre-roll for $50, and so they were like, they kind of weren't really rocking with it.
They weren't ready for it.
Yeah, so I just sat with them in inventory for a little bit, and when people would stop by the distro, I'd be like, "Hey, try one of my hash holes," and so it kind of just started getting out there like that, and then like a few of the stores picked it up since the very beginning, and they've been selling them, working with us since 2022.
I'm curious why, when you started this, did you immediately go for hash holes, or did you have a flower brand first?
Yes.
And so was that Gems?
No, so about 2019, I think it was around COVID. I started a brand called Zips.
Yeah, I remember those.
I was like going around to a lot of grows.
I've known you for a while.
Yeah. I was like hitting a lot of grows, and like I was just trying to find my way in the industry to like see what was gonna be my thing. And I was over at Oak Fruitland at the time, and they just had like big totes filled with like real high quality smalls. I'm like, oh, what are you guys doing with these? And they're like, oh, we do pre-rolls, and then some of it we just dump it into extraction or this and that. And I was like, oh, I'd be interested in taking some of this off your hands. And then they were like, yeah, sure. And they gave me like a real player price. And I created the bag for Zips, which is just basically a black bag. It said Zips on the front. It had like the fake zipper on the front of it. And I just started putting like really high-end, well-manicured, like exotic smalls in like 1 ounce bags. And those things were booming, especially during PPP. I mean,
when everyone had some money.
Oh yeah, I had a delivery service. Those people ordering like 2 or 3 of them a day. I assume a lot of people were buying them and breaking it down and like selling it to their people. So that was my first brand. And then like I would say like within a year of me doing that, like everybody came on the market with smalls, and I was like, all right, so this isn't really unique anymore. So I was like, what can I do? And then I'm like, oh, hash holes. That seems hard as fuck. Maybe if I do that, everybody won't be able to jump on. So I just kind of like, I just bet down on it and went all in on it, And not only that, like I'm a creative. I love like art, and I feel like hash holes are art.
Absolutely.
So it's like the craftsmanship of it. I really appreciate that, and like the aesthetics of it, and the fact that there's like a whole ecosystem of like stuff that's going on inside the roll in order for it to do what you want it to do, which is like a lot of engineering.
Absolutely.
That kind of stuff kind of, it resonates with me. So that's kind of why I jumped into it. I like the fact that it was high end. I like the fact that it wasn't easy to replicate, and there wasn't a lot of people doing it at the time. You know, there were some people that were like kind of first to market with it, and like I give a lot of respect to those guys because obviously, even before Dunkz was out there or anything, you know, like Fidel, he was real heavy in that lane. And
problem with Fidel is you can't get him up north.
Yeah,
like, it's so rare to find. It's just like I got to go to LA to get a fucking hash hole. It drives me crazy that so many of the best things on our market are down there. Same with like CGO. I love them, but it's like, if you know, it's hard to find up here.
I mean, we're in a decent amount of stores in the Bay. We've got some really cool retail partners up here. So I feel like when we first started, it was like logistically, it made sense for us to just try to saturate the Bay Area. So like we got a lot of cool people that have been rocking with us since the beginning. Like I would say one of our first buyers that still buys now is CBCB. Like
I love CBCB.
They picked us up when we were Dunkz Donuts, and they just been rocking with us ever since.
I love it.
And Dre and the team over there,
yeah,
I love
they're
those
amazing.
guys.
Like they're talking about like old school dispensaries that actually still care about the culture, that care about Prop 215, care about medical, and just care about their community at large. CBCB's right on top of that.
Yeah, she's like I feel like fortunate to like have her in my circle of friends because, you know, she's just a pioneer, like the definition of the word, you know.
So. And when Andre loves you, she loves you.
Yeah.
Like, and it's genuine, and it's 100%. Like, whenever I see her, it just feels good to talk to her and just kind of check back in with someone who has so many years in the game and just wants us to win and really push it. So Bay Area brands, try to get into CBCB if you can. It's a beautiful situation.
It's a great store, great people.
Yeah.
They're following over there. I mean, I've ran into people all over California, and they're like, "Oh, I only shop at CBCB." Like, just really loyal. You know?
They've been around for a long time, and it's interesting to see how many of the staff are still there. Their staff have been there for like, it feels like 10 plus years. It might be an exaggeration, but as long as I've been going in there, I'm seeing the same faces. And to me, there's a couple clubs like that, and I always tell like the management, like, to me, that's a testament of a phenomenal club. If you can keep your staff for a decade, like, you're doing something right.
Leadership.
Yeah.
You know, it's like people will go through whatever you have to go through if your leader's strong. Yeah. You know,
so anyway, so you're in
her.
CBCB for a long time with donuts, and then
what happened was the CGO had reached out to me, and he was like, "Hey, I'm doing this event in LA called National Hash Hole Day. We got
Love CGO.
Yeah, CGO's the guy. He was like, you know, if you want to get a booth there, you know, let me know. We can hook you up. Blah blah blah." So I told my team, I'm like, hey, nobody really knows who we are. There's this event called National Hash Hole Day that's just been inaugurated. I'm like, if there's a time for us to really pop out and introduce ourselves to people, it seems like this is the right time. So it was crazy how we did it, because I told CGO, I'm like, yo, I don't have $5,000 to like throw down, but if you're willing to work with me, I can chip away at it all the way up until the event. And he was like, yeah, it's cool, you know. So we took everything that we had, literally just like maxed out all my cards, took all the cash out of the bank, just like, and we built a display with like, literally we went to Home Depot with the van, 2x4s, plywood. My buddy owns a vinyl print company. So we basically built this oversized like lemonade stand and wrapped it in vinyl to make it look like a donut pop-up. And when we went down there, like everybody was coming in and setting up their booth, and they see like me and my team walking in with like pallets of plywood and 2x4s and screws and drills, and they're like, yo, what are these guys doing? And they watched us put it together, and the dude came up to me afterwards. He was like, bro, I almost feel like taking my booth down. This shit is crazy right here. So we were really like going down there just to say like, hey, this is who we are. Yeah. And I'd met Bruno before that, and up until that point, and even after that, Bruno was the only roller that I had in my employee, like rolling Dunkz for us. So
Bruno rolls?
Yeah.
Love Bruno rolls.
Yeah, great so guy. I brought Bruno down there, and I kind of set it up. The whole aesthetic was like luxury. So I had a carpet with a red velvet rope around it, and I had Bruno at like a little table, and you would have to come up to the donut stand, and you could order what flour and what rosin you wanted, and then Bruno would roll you your custom pairing, and like you could sit behind the rope and like talk to him. Yeah. So it was really cool, and we sold. I don't know. It was definitely one of the nights where I was like, okay, I think I'm on to something. I think this is the right direction for me. And right before we pulled up for the event, he was like, hey, did you enter any hash holes into the competition? And I'm like, I didn't know there was a competition. I just thought it was like, celebrating the household. He's like, no, it's a competition. So I was like, oh man, I'm like, all right, Burner's judging this. So I call Mark, who's from Collier. Yeah. That's my twin. Yeah. So I'm like, Mark, I got to enter this hash hole into the competition. And I think Burner's one of the judges. I would assume that his say carries a lot of weight in the competition. And so Mark's like, he's like, well, Burner's a Skittles head. So he's like, if you do anything with Skittles, he's like, it's probably going to give you a leg up. So I'm like, oh shit. So SF Canna had some like fire Skittles smalls that we were already using in the Gems brand. And then Collier had some Skittles rosin. So I'm like, I might as well go for the Skittles. For the kill shot. You know what I mean? So we did a Skittles on Skittles roll, and it ended up winning National Hash Hole Day. And then that kind of like, that set everything off for us because now people were paying attention to us. There was a lot of buyers there. Yeah. So accounts were like, hey, who do we talk to about picking you guys up? And so like right after we won that, I was already scared. I'm from New England where Dunkin' Donuts is based. And I'm like, I know I'm playing with fire, like using their branding and stuff. And I'm like, if we hit like 50, 60, 70 stores out here, that's like enough attention where they might come after us. So
lawyers are gonna know.
As soon as we won the National Hash Hole Day, I stopped production. I redesigned the logo, hired an IP attorney, had him sign off on it, and he kind of told me what characteristics I needed to change so as not to infringe upon their trademark. And basically a big part of it was the colors. So like my whole thing was like, I wanted to have something that was as timeless as Dunkin' Donuts, which is a very basic font and very basic colors. So I just kind of like played around with colorways that like represented and kind of worked well with each other. And that's when I landed on the yellow, blue, and then white just kind of became a standard color. And then I submitted it for trademark. I got accepted. And then we went right into production with the same hash hole that we won National Hash Hole Day. Because I'm assuming everybody wants to smoke the one that won.
Yeah, absolutely.
So we did that one and we relaunched the brand, and it's been a roller coaster and a haunted house together. You know what I mean? Like if you could have a roller coaster that went through a haunted house, that's probably what it's been like.
I understand the feeling. Fun. But I think it's super important, though, several things that you mentioned. Like one, we often overlook as your brand is blowing up, being aware that, hey, the imagery, the logo might infringe on someone else's copyright. Let me bring in a lawyer now. Let me spend that money now that I might not feel like I have, but so I can secure what my image is. So as my company blows up, we're safe. And just taking the time and the money to make that proper investment is a huge thing. And so I really, really commend you for taking the time to do that.
Well, at this point, I would like to say shout out to Luke Zimmerman because he's the guy. If anybody needs to trademark their IP, talk to Luke Zimmerman. Okay. If you can't find him, hit me up. I'll plug you in because he's done a lot. Because I was really scared, like coming from, music, entertainment. I ran nightclubs on the East Coast for a long time. Like I knew how much money you could put into a brand. So if you don't own that brand and somebody else can take it, you might dump $1 million into it and somebody takes it. It's like you just lost $1 million. So I was like, away. I knew I was going to put a lot into like marketing the brand because like when I moved to California, the brands that I really admired and looked up to were very well marketed and presented to the public. So I was like, okay, at a minimum, I have to at least match what they're doing. And so and I looked at that and I'm like, ooh, that looks expensive. So I just kind of came in with that understanding that I was really going to push, so I just didn't want to push for that Dunkin' Donuts branding and then just have it get taken from me. So it just kind of was important, but
it makes absolute sense. It's just again the responsibility of this is where we're going to make that investment, because so many of us, when we have young businesses, there's more need than we have money to fill, and you're always trying to figure out like what's the most important thing. Am I getting new packaging? Am I getting a brand ambassador? Like am I getting more product? Like huge decisions. So the Oakland train. And so the decision to actually go ahead and spend that money on a lawyer is just a really smart thing. And more of us who are in this space need to kind of realize that that's something you do in the beginning and not something you do at the end to really protect your investment.
Well, it's a lot harder to do it afterwards because usually when you have to protect it, that means there's somebody trying to take it from you. So that automatically just makes it more expensive. But I don't know. I just kind of like been in a lot of industries and I just understood that like licensing and owning your IP was just very important for anything that if you're starting something, you want to own as much of it as possible because it just makes your ability to cash out or at least generate revenue off of it. It just makes it easier.
Absolutely.
So I don't know. I'm not the best businessman, but there's a couple of things. And I would just say, like, I know a lot of people that do things well and that are in, my circle of, professional or friendship, which I think are pretty much like one and the same at this point, because kind of whittled down a lot of people that weren't adding to the equation. We have a real solid team of people around us right now that I can say that I can name like 2 or 3 like brands that, like, if it wasn't for them, I wouldn't even be here right now. Just call you probably primarily. Yeah. Those guys that just had my back since like the very beginning. Like, can't say thank you enough to those guys. They're just more solid than anyone could ever imagine.
No, I love Mark and Joe. I mean, their willingness to just kind of open up their doors and come in. This is what we do. Learn from us. And giving you access. I mean, they've done that for me. They've done that for you. They've done that for a lot of brands. And there's a couple companies also for Oakland Extracts. Jetty has been like that, or a company where they don't need to bring in other people. They don't need our business, but they're just open to sharing what they do so that we can kind of build our own thing. It's like, it's really important to have allies like that stand behind you. And Mark is someone that anytime I see him, I give him a big ass hug. I'm always excited to see him. He always shares with me. It's the best dab I've had that year. Is to sit in his pocket usually, and it's just great having him as family. So that's huge.
Yeah, I mean, I think some people just understand that, like, there's no way that any of us survives this on our own.
Yeah,
and I think it takes a high level of knowledge and experience to be able to see that, and then act upon it and kind of like make that a way of doing business. Like, there's been times where, like, I've had the flour, I've had the packaging, I've had everything, and I'm like, shit, I don't have any money for rosin right now. And then Joe will hit me up. He's like, hey, what's going on? I'm like, nothing. He's like, are you guys in production right now? And I'm like, no, we're not. He's like, why not? I'm like, dude, I'm just trying to put some money together to buy some rosin. He's like, dude, just come get some rosin, man. Like, you guys got to keep moving, and like Alyssa, who's also under Collier but handles all of our sales for Dunkz, like, it's just a really cool team that they kind of grandfathered me into, and I feel like beyond fortunate to just have them at my shoulder, behind my back, or as like, people to follow behind, and it's like, you need that. I'm not from this industry. I mean, I trapped, but I feel like the license industry is, as much as people want to say that the two translate, it's a different beast,
Yeah. The trap market and the rec market are just 2 completely different animals, and you're dealing with 2 different sets of people, types of people, just 2 different ways of doing business. And it's and people assume that if you're going to be great in one, you can automatically be great in the other, but it's not. It's a whole. I mean,
that was my assumption.
Yeah.
And then you learn.
Yeah. You
learn what translates and what doesn't. But I think the culture is probably like my North Star. Like, that's what I look at. I'm like, what do people resonate with? Like, what would make people happy?
Yes.
To receive or to be blessed with or gifted. So it's like, I can't always do that through retail, but if you like come to any of our events, that's when I just get a chance to like really just bless people. Like, if we're doing like pop-ups, I don't think we've ever sold a Dunkz more than like $30 at like any event. And I was in San Diego recently and I had to buy one because we ran out and I paid $76. So I'm like, I know that if I'm giving somebody something that they're getting for 30 that they would have to get for 76 somewhere else, it's like, I just want people to be able to try it. And then maybe it's not something that you can, attain all the time, but at least you know what it is. And when you have the opportunity, you're like, let me get one of those actually.
Yeah.
Today's one of those days where
I deserve it.
Yeah.
I love a premium hash roll for that. It's just not something that most folks can afford to do on the daily, but it's like, as much as you can, you want to do it.
Yeah. It's been, I don't know how I just got so deep into it. Where I think the manufacturing, at first I just really loved the branding and marketing side of it. I loved that interaction with people. I love the experience of like watching someone sit down and witness like their own hash hole being rolled for them. Like, that part just like, it got me like, I was like, yo, I love this. I love like when people are like, as soon as they sit down, they just get their camera out and the whole time they're just like filming the whole thing. And I'm like, this means something. This is an experience to them. Like, they want to capture this and save this. And then it's like, then they have that video and they get home later and they have the hash hole and they're like smoking it. And then they're like looking at the video and it's like, it becomes a complete package. And I just kind of thought that once we really got rolling, I wanted the packaging experience to be like the same as the actual rolling and the consuming experience. So I kind of like was like, all right, we're gonna go ahead and put a tube inside a bag just to give like that unboxing experience. So like in my head, I was trying to think, how does this work? How does this work for consumers? So I would just like open package and close it, toss it, open package and close it. How do I want them to perceive it? As far as like tear it, then the tube slides out, and then the tube's all custom, and it's got the strains on it and a little instructions on how to smoke it, and then you pop the top. And I'm knowing that most people, they want to smell it before they smoke it. So like I'm like, every Dunkz has the bang in the tube.
Yes.
So that's like one of our boxes that we have to check is like, we might get through a whole roll and then I'll put it in a tube, and then like, even if it smokes good and it tastes good and the ash is white and everything, if you pop the tube and it's like, it doesn't bang, it's probably not going to make it into production. So it's like, I mean, we'll smoke it.
Yeah.
But like, as far as like the experience that I want the consumer to have, it's like, that's like really important. And then figuring out which way to put the hash hole in the tube, because when they pop it, they slide it out. What do you want to slide out? The glass tip, or you want the head to fall up?
Yeah.
You know, so I was like, well, if they're smoking it with someone else, I feel like most people would want to see you grab it by the head, not the glass tip. So I inverted it in the tube and then put the tube upside down in the bag, so that way when it's standing up, I get it. Yeah. The little tidbits of flour that might be in there always go to the bottom of it and like clear out. So it's just a lot of late nights tweaking over it. You know what I mean?
No, it's really important. It's like, especially for a premium product, it's really important, the packaging and the consumer experience. If you're going to charge them a lot, they should be excited when they open it. It should be a gift. It should be something that they're excited and they're proud of to do. So taking the time to think about all those little steps is really huge.
Yeah.
You had mentioned you had been in music before, and it sounds like you've done like a lot of things that kind of led you to really appreciating the importance of marketing and branding in cannabis. You want to just tell us your story of other things that you did that brought you up to this point now?
Yeah. So like, I've always loved music. Like that was probably like, I never thought I was going to be an entertainer, but like I always loved music. Like I was a kid that lived on the East Coast that would just listen to like Tupac, like on repeat, like the double album, just like days at a time, you know? And like when everybody else was like, Biggie, I'm like, Biggie's not it. Like this Tupac's the guy. Like, are you guys not hearing this? And, so I kind of like really always like enjoyed music. And then I kind of got into trapping pretty hard, which really was like, took me away from anything that I really wanted to do. I never wanted to trap, you know, and it wasn't like, I never like sat in my room and was like, yo, when I grow up, I'm gonna be like the illest trapper in my neighborhood, you know, and I was just kind of like, it's something that like evolved, because I come from like, I grew up in like a really bad area in Boston, like during the 80s, just no bueno. And like at a certain point, my mother moved us to like a nicer area, and I kind of got to see both sides of, you know, coming from Boston in the 80s, moving to Cape Cod, which was like a predominantly, you know, white area, like people, good schools and everything. I kind of got to see both sides of things. And I think that kind of influenced the way that I approach things, because I understood that there's, you know, more than one class of people needs to be marketed to, you know? So when I moved down there, I was a knucklehead. My mom passed away when I was 12. I didn't meet my dad till I was like 46. So I was in the streets pretty tough. Yeah, I was off the porch early. Yeah. So like just running around, getting in trouble, in and out of juvie, you know, I probably like got locked up when I was like 17 for like dumb shit. Just kind of like a whole, almost an entire life full of that. Before I was even knew that I could pivot. So by the time I moved out like to Rhode Island, Providence, Rhode Island, I opened a tanning salon, if you believe that. And it was, I mean, I knew people were tanning, they were paying money for it. I was like, yo, fuck it. I'm
just saying, most of us, I get it.
Oh, it was a running joke. When people would walk in, they're like, oh, how long you been working here? I'm like, these tanning machines are amazing. I'm Italian. You know, so it's like, we had a lot of fun with that. And that kind of introduced me to business, which then informed my illegal business. Cause I'm like, all right, this is the right way that business is done. This is how trapping is done. Maybe some like melding or merging of the two. And then that kind of like led to like me getting involved in a very large scale, like cannabis conspiracy operation out of Canada. So we were running that for a while. We were doing like 4,000 or 5,000 pounds a month, like heavy stuff. And during that time I had a lot of cash around. So that's when I was like, okay, let me open a clothing store, you know, let me open a recording studio, which was like my dream. And then that kind of like really started like leading me away from trapping into like music. And then in 2009, I got popped by the feds. So then trapping was over, and I still had the recording studio in the clothing store, and I sold the clothing store, I sold the tanning salon, but I kept the recording studio. And then I was on pre-trial probation for like 3 years, like pre-sentencing. Mm-hmm. So for that 3 years, all I did was music. Mm-hmm. And that kind of like was going really cool, but I didn't really know what was going to happen after that. I just knew for a fact I was going to jail. Like, there's no way they're not giving me probation. Like, I'm definitely going away. So I just wanted to see what life was like if I did something other than the illegal stuff I've always done. So I just did music, man. It was cool, man. I got to open for like Big Sean, The Dream, played Gillette Stadium, opened for The Roots. Like, nice. A lot of cool like concerts. Like, in my area, a lot of people knew me. So when they were like, oh, you're doing music now? Oh, we got this big artist coming. Do you want to open for him? Oh, we got this. So like the opportunities were just kind of like, I mean, we were good, undeniably. I think people really liked our music. But
what was the name of the group?
It was called Audio Mix Swagger.
Okay.
And it was like kind of like, it was like all live instruments with like hip hop verses and like R&B hooks.
Nice.
So it was just like kind of like, but all the people in the band were like friends of mine. So we would just get on stage and get drunk and have fun. And I think that people loved that energy, you know? So absolutely. It was like, sometimes I would get off stage and be so drunk that I forgot that I just did a show. I was just like, because people just coming up handing you shots of tequila all night, and I'm engaging. So I'm like, who else has got one? You know? And so like, I feel like that kind of like helped me to understand like that people want to be engaged. They want to be interacted with. So I feel like all of these things kind of like fed into my understanding of like marketing and advertising and experiences and experiential events and stuff like that. And then running nightclubs and then just kind of like getting involved in all that stuff. And then in 2012, I got sentenced to 6 years and 10 months. I think it was 82 months they gave me. And so while I was away, I was watching legalization happen, like while I was like sitting in there for weed, and people were like, "Are you mad like that this is happening?" I'm like, "Dude, honestly, I'm just kind of like grateful that they didn't catch me for everything that I did. You know, I'm happy that you know I'm going home and 5, 6 years, 7 years, whatever it was. You know, there was things in my past that if I got caught doing those, I would have never made it home. So I really took the attitude of like,
you're blessed,
grateful, gratitude. I'm like, yo, if weed is what like sets me back, then like I'm cool with that. I actually was happier that it was that other than any other thing that I could have gotten in trouble for.
The real stuff.
Yeah, and when I came home, I was on probation, and I couldn't really do much except go to work and come home because I was like on house arrest. And so after my house arrest was over, I had a friend of mine that was in California, and he was like, "Hey, I'm trying to start like this vape cartridge hardware company out in Cali. Do you want to move out here and like help me?" And I'm like, "Dude, I just renovated my crib. I'm like tapped out. I'm not going anywhere." And he was like, "Dude, I'll pay for you to move out. I'll give you first and last. Like, I need you to come help me." So I moved out to California, and it was crazy too because I'd been back and forth to LA a ton for music. Like I've done music videos with like Jim Jones, The Game, like worked on songs like Raekwon, like just like people from Kanye's label, like just really thought that was going to be the end all of like everything that I did. And then when I moved out here, I got into cannabis, and I was like, all right, well, my girlfriend who became my wife, she was working at a company, and I'm like, hey, if we move to California, maybe you can find a company, like see if your company has any headquarters over there, and we'll just move close to wherever that is. And it ended up being in Walnut Creek. So when I moved to the Bay Area, I'd never been to the Bay before. Like when I got off the plane at SFO, I'd never been here before. It was like a complete blank slate.
Brand new,
yeah. Like I didn't even see the apartment. I just found it online and was like, they did a video walkthrough, and I'm like, just wired them the money and mailed our cars and furniture and just hopped. It was really like a leap of faith.
Yeah, hell yeah, it was. Yeah.
But I just knew that as much as I love LA, like I love a good weekend in LA, but I knew that if I went from like being in jail for 5 years to like moving to LA, it wasn't gonna work out well for me because I know my demons, and it's like better to like kind of like be somewhere where I can just focus on the task at hand, A
lot of distractions in LA.
And I know a lot of people down there, so it was like I wouldn't really get a clean slate. I would be going down there to like the same people that I knew from before. And so that kind of like, when I got into this, I was helping sell a lot of trim. That was like my main thing. I was doing like thousands of pounds of trim a week. I didn't even know what they were doing with it. I'm like, what are you guys doing with all this stuff? I think I put 30,000 miles on my car driving to Humboldt in like 6 months, back and forth, and just trying to make contacts and like talk to people and meet people. And what I found was that there's a lot of fuckheads, but there's a ton of good people out there.
Yeah.
You know, and like people that were like, oh yeah, just come on up to the farm. Yeah, you know, so-and-so said he knows you and that you're cool. Cause I thought that was gonna be like the biggest prohibitor. No one here knew me. Yeah. How do you break into an industry where no one knows you? You're literally an outsider. And like, as if like thinking about the fact that I just got out of prison, that probably makes it harder for people to trust you because they're like, all right, is this guy a fucking rat? Yeah. Like, what's going on? You know, and so it's like, I thought it was going to be really hard, and the part that was hard wasn't what I thought it was. Like, getting into meeting people was kind of like the easiest side of it, you know? I think we got a timeout coming here.
Yep. Thank you.
Okay. I figured we could take a break there anyway for a second, right? No, I'm good, but, you know.
Yeah, okay. Keep going.
Okay, so...
So what was actually the hardest part? If the hardest part wasn't the networking and the meeting the people, so what was the hardest part of going up north?
Well, getting up there, meeting people, that was very easy. The hardest thing that I've done in the industry is launching these brands. Okay. For sure. Everything else, I've worked at cultivations as distribution managers. I ran a distro license. That's how I got it. I didn't, like, when I first got here, a friend of mine was like, hey, I got a buddy that's got a license. Maybe I should introduce you guys. And so I met him. He's like, yeah, I got a micro license. I do delivery, but I have distro. If you can figure out a way to monetize it, go ahead. And he's like, I got a van too. So that was like my first, I got busy. So I was still on probation at the time, which was very like, it was a thin line. Yeah. Because in theory, I wasn't supposed to be touching any cannabis product because I was on federal probation. So I'm touching a product that's federally illegal. But if I stayed at the computer, it kind of gave me a little buffer. So like all I did was I just learned metric, you know, and just kind of like went deep in metric. And then I started teaching metric at Diablo Valley College. I started a course called, Cannabis Seed to Sale to the Lens of Metric. And I did that for like a couple of years over there and taught students about like how to use metric. And I would do like, one day would be like metric. And then the next day I would invite somebody from the cannabis industry to speak and like kind of give like actionable, like live intelligence to like help people figure out what part of cannabis they wanted to go into.
That must have been wild to go from federal prison for cannabis to teaching at a state school about how to do cannabis properly. It's a hell of a transition.
Yeah, I used to make jokes about it. I used to call it from the courtroom to the classroom.
Yeah.
But
well, I mean that's the best instruction that someone can give, someone who's lived both sides of it. Yeah. You know, and so I imagine you're giving something to those students that they would have not have gotten from anybody else.
You know, it's been working with those guys, I feel like, and it wasn't just like, it was like a class where like people of all ages could attend. So like there'd be like kids that were like 20, like, oh, when I turn 21, I'm going to go work in the industry. And then there was like ladies in my class that had worked at like, one lady worked at Bank of America and was like retiring next year. And she was thinking about opening a delivery with her son. So I had like the whole spectrum of people that were interested, and it was really fun. And then I had a baby, and then everything started getting harder because it's like I would work in cannabis all day, come home, lay on the couch for like an hour, and then go teach this night class afterwards, and then come back home. And I was just running myself down, and I'm like, one of these things has got to go, and it can't be the baby. So
definitely
the baby's here. So so I kind of like backed out of it, but it was a really cool experience. I still have a great relationship with the school. They have me come back and speak probably like once or twice a year, either to their marketing or their business class. So it's been, I just couldn't make this stuff up, you know, the way that it's all progressed. And even when I was like in the classroom, I'm like, I'm not supposed to be here. I learned later that there's a term for that. It's called imposter syndrome.
Yes, yeah, it's a real thing.
I'm like, why am I here talking to these people about weed? I just got out of prison like 6 months ago. But it's like, I learned that like the people that were in it, they're the ones that can speak to it the best. It doesn't matter
the only ones
what your trajectory, what your trajectory was to get there. It's like you had to go through that so you can speak on it from a knowledgeable standpoint. Absolutely. So I felt like it was cool to be able to like share the things that I was learning in real time at that time, you know?
Absolutely. What did, After your success in the trap market, what were some of the skill sets or things that you learned from there that you're able to translate into the rec market or the legal market?
I would say management skills. People management first, probably time management second or third. But really, like, all businesses is just managing people.
Yes.
And that means like managing expectations, which I'm not the best at. I'm sure sometimes some of my staff are like, dude, this guy's a fucking asshole. But I try to make sure that they all know that I genuinely care about them. You know, like, I call them, just hit them up. Hey, what are you doing? Nothing, chilling. Cool. All right, well, listen, man, we got a slow day at work today. But, you know, I'll just go and pay you guys for today and just take the day off and we'll get back at it tomorrow. You know what I mean? Or sometimes it's just because I dropped the ball on something, like the whole team's ready to manufacture and I haven't picked up the rosin yet. So it's my fault. I can't like dock them a day's pay because I dropped the ball. So it's like, I'm just learning these things. It's managing these people, managing their expectations and managing, you know, what they need to remain engaged and excited about what we do and just doing everything that I can to make sure that they get that, you know. But I feel like when I was trapping, had a lot of staff.
Yeah. And
those people all stayed with me through the whole thing, you know, like even after I got busted, like I could still count on anyone that worked under me was like, they were with me.
Yeah.
So I think loyalty too is a big part of it. And I'm a big fan of like rewarding that, you know, like people that rock with me. There's been times where like payrolls come up. I'm like, yo, I had 4 dispensaries that were supposed to pay today. They didn't pay. Like there's no bread for payroll this week. Like I'm like, I got like 2 G's on me. Like who needs it? Yeah. You know, and like one guy will be like, yo, I'm good till next week. Another guy will be like, dude, I kind of need like 700. If you can do that, then that gets me through. Yeah. Another guy's like, yo, I just got to take care of my insurance. That's 300. Like, a real team. Yeah. You know what I'm saying? Yeah. We're taking money, putting it on the table and slicing it up as needed. You know what I'm saying? Yeah. Like, okay, what, you just need gas money? All right, here's a hundo. Mm-hmm. All right, what do you need? All right, cool. So, you know, I feel like that's a very key part of like building a team that one, not everybody can see the vision, but if they trust you, then they don't need to see it. Yeah. They just trust that you can see it and they're willing to follow you. And I feel like that was something that I learned real early, like in the trap, like just kind of like that your team decides whether you live or die, whether you go to jail or not, you know what I'm saying? So I feel like that was probably like the biggest skill set that translated. And then I think as far as the business side of it, I'm still not the best at it. I'm very passion driven. I'm not numbers driven. You know, I feel like I have a bookkeeper now. I didn't always. If I did, she probably would have quit. But I never cared. I'm not going to say I didn't care about the numbers. Yeah. I just knew that if I did everything I was supposed to, like the money would come eventually. Yeah. And coming from less than, I was never like scared of not having money. You know, I was like, I've been there before. This is not the end of the world. Like I'm still alive. I'm still healthy. I can go grab a shovel before it comes to worse. You know what I mean? So I think just kind of approaching it and saying, all right, if there was no bean counter telling me what to do, what would I do for the consumer? And then I just did that for like a year and a half. Yeah. And then I was like, shit, I need a bean counter.
Well, it is a great way to build your customer base is by super taking care of them.
Yeah.
And initially that kind of means ignoring that you're spending more than you're making. Yeah. But at a certain point to keep the company successful or alive, to keep your employees paid, someone's got to be micromanaging that. And it helps to have it be someone else. Because I'm the same way. I want to give everything away. Yeah. And I need someone being like, no, you need to save this for that. You need to pay them first. You need to not do that. You can't give all that away. You got to be able to take care of the team as a whole first. So that's really important to have someone in that position to keep you on track.
I'm hard-headed. Mm-hmm. So, like, I've had people tell me that. Like, Joe's been like, hey, man, people love you. It's okay. You can, like, focus on manufacturing now. You don't have to do every event. I love doing events. Yeah. And events feed my creative side. Exactly. That's when I get to pop out and do cool shit. Yeah. So I'm like, I kind of just want to do this, you know what I mean? But sometimes it doesn't make sense. But I was just hitting them all because it gave me a chance to like create something new every time, a new experience, like do cool things. It gave me a chance to like drop new merch or like launch new accessories or whatever. So I kind of like, I really leaned into it. But, you know, I'm a couple years in and I realize how important it is to like manage your funds. Yeah. And I can only say that now because there's a demand for the product. So I'm like, if I don't have enough money to make enough rolls to give it to the people that want them, I'm kind of like I'm failing. Yeah. You know? And so I'm learning now, you know. But
that's a hard lesson for me to learn too.
Oh, dude,
like,
I got my head cracked, dude. I mean, I have taken $10,000 losses like that are like just came out of left field. Where like, you know, one time in recent history, like we have a very particular process on how we decide how fine the flower needs to be ground for each roll. Because every genetic's different.
Yeah.
Some sativas, you look at them and they crumble out.
Yeah.
And then some indicas, you got to really grind them down to get them to be smokable.
And
so,
if it's too fine, it's a trash product.
Yep.
And if it's too chunky, it's not going to burn right. So yeah, that's really, really important to getting that right grind.
So we went through an entire production run, and one of the strains that we dropped was about 350 rolls. Got ground twice by accident. So like it got out to the dispensaries, and like one of my buddies up at Flame in Santa Rosa, he's a big Dunkz head. He smokes every single one that comes out. And he's like, dude, I didn't want to call you and tell you this, but this thing's not fucking smoking. I've tried. And I'm like, sure? He's like, yeah. I'm like, all right, let me go try one of them out. I tried it. I'm like, this thing's not fucking smoking. Then I opened it up, and the flower was like powder. So then at that point, you know, as soon as the heat hits the rosin, it's going to hit that flower.
Yeah.
As soon as it gets about a half an inch away from the flame, it's going to cool off, and that thing turns into cement. And you're not getting a drag of air through there. You'll suffocate before you get a drag to that thing. So I recalled them all and then re-rolled them all. And then I recalled them all. Can't re-roll them because the flower's trash. So I had to remanufacture all of them and then push them back out to all the stores again.
That's a big loss.
On no one's dime, though. Like, I called the stores. I'm like, hey, take that off the shelf right now. They're like, oh, can we give it to the staff? I'm like, dude, don't give it to anybody because my name's on it and it's not smoking right. So just take them off and like destroy them. Do not give those to anyone, you know, because like somebody goes and spend $60, $70 even on one of these things and gets home and lights it up and they're like, dude, I'm big dogging it today. Watch me smoke a hash hole. And you get 2 drags and the thing's fucking useless.
Never coming back. Ever.
Never coming back, dude. So that was a real hard lesson that I learned. And it was at a time when I didn't really have any money to like sustain that blow.
Yeah.
So I just had to take it on the freaking cheek hard.
Yeah. I mean, that's something people really need to understand, really need to focus on. Like, there are going to be times if you're creating products that you have a bad batch and you have to just take them back and eat it. You can't, if you sell them to anyone, no matter, even if you sell it at a discount through some other location, the person that finds that, that's going to be their first introduction to you. And that's going to be their perception of you forever. So I've had to just throw away thousands of dollars when you don't have thousands of dollars. But it's the only way to protect your brand in the future. So it's really, really important when brand building to be able to make that choice.
It hurt, but you want to know what? I feel like I've kind of made a career out of doing things that like just resonate with me personally. I'm like, this is the right thing to do no matter how you look at it. If somebody buys it and they get through a whole one and it's going out and this and that, but they get it lit and they smoke it all the way through and they're like, oh, this thing tastes great and I'm high as fuck. That's not the experience that we intended though. You know, and like that thing, you're supposed to light that thing and be able to smoke it for a good 20, 30 minutes with no problems. So if you're not getting what we intended for you to get, then that's a fail.
Yeah.
So that was kind of like my whole reasoning behind it. And there's been a lot of that because like hash holes are a very finicky piece of freaking product.
They are.
And so like if something gets heated up in transit and the rosin melts and goes to one side, as soon as the person lights it, that thing's gonna run.
Yeah.
So like, but I run our Instagram. People hit me all the time. I mean, for as many hash holes as we make, I'm surprised that we don't get more people hitting us. But I had somebody hit me and they were like, hey man, I just brought one of these hash holes and I lit it up and I was driving and smoking it and like it started running and it didn't smoke right. And I just called them on Instagram. I'm like, hey, what's up, man? This is Armande. I'm like, dude, I already called the dispensary. Just go back. They're going to give you another one. You can pick whichever one you want. You know, and like, just like,
and you have a customer for life when you do that.
Yeah, it just makes sense to give people what they want. You know, and like that wholesale ticket that I get for that is what it is. Yeah. But like I want people to be able to actually like experience what I believe is the highest, you know, form of a pre-roll. It's hand rolled, it's craft, it's artisan. It takes time. There's like on any given pre-roll, there's 4 people's hands that are in that before it gets to the consumer. Maybe 5 if we consider packaging. Yeah. So it's all, there's labor, there's love in there the whole route through. You know, there's one person that's weighing out every 1.5 gram of flowers like perfectly. There's one person that's doing a half a gram scoop of rosin, rolling it into a worm, putting it on the tray, traying it up. There's a roller. You know, like there's a person applying the cigar band, like all the way through. It's like, if you do all that and the person that buys it can't get what they want out of it, the whole thing's fucked.
Yeah.
You know, it's like you gotta make sure. And I think the reason it works is because I'm crazy enough to just not really give a fuck about it. I'm like, all right, cool. Well, you know, I could pay all my bills this week, or I could just eat 350 assholes. You know, it's like, but I think in the end, just letting like kind of, I move off of energy. So it's like, I can just tell like this is what we're supposed to be doing, you know, and like we have like all these little small things that we do. Like if I see somebody at one of our events and they come and they're wearing a piece of merch from a previous event, I just give them a free piece of merch. You're out there repping, dude. Yeah. Like I feel like I can't even charge you for this. You're like showing up at cannabis events, repping what must be your favorite brand. You're a brand ambassador. So like, dude, just come over and get a hat, come get a shirt, you know, come get a roll, like just blessing people. And it's cool. Like, I don't know. I think I just like having fun, and I've been partying my whole life. So it's like this kind of environment works very well for me, but I didn't realize how much of an impact it has on the consumers because they're not used to like people doing that. They're like, oh, dude, man, I smoked a hash hole with the owner of Dunkz. I'm like, dude, you probably got more money than I do right now. I'm happy to be smoking a hash hole with you. What are you talking about?
It's a thrill hanging out with people who love your product. And I do a lot of dab bars, so it's always funny to talk to someone like, I've been smoking your stuff for X number of years, and you're like, all right, okay. I think I'm more shocked and excited about this whole interaction than you are, but it is fun getting that feedback. But it's also really important when you're creating such a luxury product for the buyers to know that, okay, if there's a fail, he's going to take care of it. Yeah. And so when we talk about the importance of, as a brand, being willing to kind of take the hit on that, it's not just about making sure the consumer gets a good product. It's the buyers at the dispensaries realizing that is the degree to which you'll stand behind the product. You didn't wait for them to call you to say that there's a problem. You reached out to them. And buyers, there's only but so many of them out there, and they know us, and they pay attention, and they talk amongst each other about what brands are really standing behind their products and who's screwing them over and all that. Yeah. So your willingness to take that financial hit just makes the brand that much stronger. And with a premium product like a hash hole, they have to know that they can trust that the customer is going to buy an expensive thing and be happy with it. And so that's a very important relationship that you're maintaining by doing that.
It's really, it was really hard. I would say, I'll never use the word perfect, because at that point you're exactly the opposite of that, because you ceased to innovate or push forward. So like, I would say that we put a lot of time into like moving in the direction of progress and efficiency and like bettering the product. Like some things that we don't advertise, that people don't know, but we're just like, we're over there tweaking. Like I had a guy that he manufactures, I want to say like 150,000 or 250,000 pre-rolls a month in California. And he came by our facility and we were talking. Really nice guy. His name's Dean. And he was like, dude, I've never seen anybody like obsess over like making a pre-roll like this. Like, he's like, you guys are like tweaking right now. I'm like, because he walked in, there was like a guy with smalls, and he was plucking the stems out of the smalls before we grind it. And he's like, dude, that looks expensive. I'm like, dude, it is, but I mean, the difference is notable.
It's huge. Right? It's huge. I've talked to some other brands, because there's brands that do that. Like we talked to Ali from Sunset Connect. He kind of breaks everything down. He was talking about the importance of that. And I know other companies that I work closely with where they don't do that, and the quality of the product that comes out is so radically different. And they're like, oh, it costs a lot of money to take those stems out. And it's like, pre-roll, it's so important to get rid of all that. It's got to taste good. It's got to burn well. And again, you have one shot to piss somebody off or they're never to buy you again. So it's worth spending that extra money to take that extra step.
Well, the other part of it is that if we leave the stem in there and we do a roll and it pokes through the paper, it's hard to unroll. I mean, it's not impossible, but it takes away from the aesthetic, because you can't really realign the rosin in the center at that point. It's already clumped up with flour.
It's a loss.
Yeah. So it's like, you know, it all makes sense. And I guess the way that I approached it was like, all right, let me figure out what the business is, and then I'll figure out the business model, which is very backwards. You know what I mean? But I'm like, all right, let me figure out if I can get people to like these things, and then I'll figure out how to make money off of it. So that's kind of like, instead of like jacking my price up, I'm like in the process right now of like bringing my price down, which I haven't like really like told anybody what it's going to be because I don't want people to get worked up about it. But I mean, we're in the middle of like creating some procedures that will allow us to like drop our COGS down, which will directly translate to the to retail, which in turn should translate to the consumer if the retail is fair.
Doing their thing,
you know?
Right? Yeah.
So like that's kind of like where I'm like, all right, if I can get the cost down, 20% and still make the same margins as I am right now, that should enable us to scale and do more numbers, and that makes everybody happy. That means more people can smoke Dunkz, get them for maybe $10 cheaper at the end of the day, which is it's a decent amount of money.
It's a huge difference. With
and
pre-rolls.
then I'll be able to make more, and even though I'm not making a ton off each one, I can make what I need to like pay my bills, and I just want everybody to be, I mean, I wish there was a way I could manufacture them for $5 a piece. If I could, I would, because then everybody could smoke these, and then they'd be like, all right, well, if I have to smoke a hash hole, this is obviously the hash hole that I want to smoke, and if I can afford it, then, that's all the better. So I don't know. It's like, there's a way to do it. And I feel like the people that are in the industry right now, like, they're looking at us as like pioneers. They're saying, hey, you guys got to figure this out. There's people coming behind us for sure. One thing I think we both know, weed's not going anywhere. Yeah. So there's more people coming behind us, and they're like the people that I talked to, they were in front of me and they passed on knowledge to me, and I was able to take that and come up with formulations and ideas and concepts and SOPs that I can pass down to somebody else, like coming on. And I feel like that's just what knowledge is, right? It's like the passing on of information to somebody else in hopes that they can do more with it than you did and push the whole thing forward,
Absolutely. We've talked about a lot of what you're doing in California, but I also know you're moving into other markets as well. So can you tell us a little bit about what you have going on in different markets and how you're able to get that done?
Yeah, so right now we're in negotiations. I guess I could say that negotiations are finalized at this point. I can't really say who it is because I signed a NDA, but it's an international manufacturer with global distribution capabilities. So we're looking to, if things go well, we'll be activating in another country around Q1 of next year, and then we'll be touching, 2, 3, 4 maybe countries shortly in the following quarters of that year. So like, I feel like it's very exciting to me.
Yeah, it's huge.
Foreign territory.
Yeah, literally.
I'm dealing with international IP attorneys. Yeah. The guy sent me a link. He said, hey, you want to schedule an appointment? There was a pay link attached to the calendar. He's like, yo, pay me and then schedule. I'm like, okay, this is serious. Yeah. I'm like, this is serious business right now. This guy wants $500 to pick up the phone. I know this is going to hurt. Yeah. But I've just learned, I have so many friends. I have friends in tech. I have friends in medicine. I have friends like all different industries. And they're like, yo, if you have $1, put it towards protecting your IP. Yeah. Because if anything's scalable, what I'm doing here in California can only be sold within these borders right now and for the foreseeable future. But if you own that IP, I mean, it's weed without borders. Yeah. You can set it up in 50 states and then set it up in 20 countries if you want. So like, I'm just trying to keep pace with that. It's hard though, because I don't want to take money out of the business here to hurt California to like expand somewhere else. It's like hard to figure out what the right balance is. Like, all right, do we, even though we should do 3,000 rolls this month, do we just do 2,500 and then take that extra 500 and put it into this? And maybe that's the right thing, but those are the things that keep me up at night. I don't really sleep a lot at all.
So is this a situation where everything's going to be manufactured in one country and sent everywhere, or is it going to be individual manufacturing centers in different countries?
Well, as it starts, it's manufactured in one country and then exported to other countries. But that could change as, kind of once I have this ability to export to other countries, it could be as simple as going to these countries and like getting purchase orders and then that maybe they're like, hey, instead of us like buying it off of you, can we license it off of you? And those are options, so we'll see. I mean, it's just all very new to me. The conversation just started. The partners we're at Hall of Flowers Ventura. Shout out to Hall of Flowers because you guys definitely earned your money on that one for sure.
Oh man, I missed that one. The last second I had to deal with some family stuff. You're talking about the worst FOMO ever. So there's so much opportunity at Hall of Flowers and some of these other events. Yeah,
that one was like, it was just such a cool experience. Like, I'm just so in my own head all the time that I'm like, I'm not a perfectionist. I'm just tweaking over stuff so much that like sometimes I just have to say, move. Yeah. Just go.
Yeah.
And so
analysis paralysis.
We weren't gonna go, but Kalia was like, hey, we're getting a booth at Hall of Flowers. It's like Kalia, I brought in Friendly Farms because they needed a booth, and Pop Vac and Dab Right. Mm-hmm. So we all had a booth together, cool little team. And I was like, all right, cool. If I only got to spend this much money and I can get down there and hang out with my people, it's worth it. But I did not have the money to go. Mm-hmm. Usually we got an extra chingling around. This one was like, if we're going, like, this will be the first time that I'm like going to LA and I'm like driving, not flying. So I'm like, you guys should know this is a clear indicator that we're going into new territory. But we got down there and we set up, and the first day we sold out of everything for both days. So I'm like, shit, we're out of product. So then I had to hit one of my staff up, and I'm like, yo, you need to get like more merch and more flour down here, like
now,
immediately.
Tonight. So
he came the next day, which was great because like I could have been like, all right, we sold everything that we were supposed to sell. I guess maybe we just cut and get out of here because there's no more money to be made. But I'm like, dude, I'm already here. I'm just gonna try to gun it. And luckily we did, because the second day our future partners came up and they were like, hey, we were kind of walking around and asking, what are some of the better pre-roll brands in California? And like several people were like, oh, go check out the Dunkz booth. And then so we were cooking that day. Like we had a line around the block. So like when they came around the corner, they're like, oh, there's Dunkz. And then they're like, oh shit. And then I feel like that was kind of like a little hook for them because they're like, ooh. And then they like waited in line and came up. I didn't know who they were, but they were like, we're from so-and-so and we've heard a lot about your product. We want to check it out. And like, I'm busy. I'm trying to get enough money to like put gas in the car so we can get home. You know what I mean? So it's like, I'm like, cool, yeah, nice to meet you, and boom, boom, boom. And then like a week later, we got an email, and they were like, hey, we tried your product. It's phenomenal. We'd like to bring it to our country, And I'm like, all right, just stop, dude. All right, this is a whole new scam. Like I know pretty much all of the scams, but this one is very future forward. I commend you guys on this level of thought. And then like it kind of kept evolving into a month of conversation, then 2 months of conversation, then a letter of intent. And then I'm like, holy shit, this is like
for real.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And like it's hard for me because like I'm just used to like coming up with things and then just executing them in like 72 hours. So this has been like one of the most difficult things is patience. And people would be like, dude, you should be real patient. You like were in prison for 5 years. I'm like, nah, dude, that didn't teach me patience. It just taught me how much I fucking hated people. Yeah. But now I'm learning. I'm like, as we move into this new way of doing business or bigger business or whatever it is, it's like things can take time and you just have to be patient and like allow the universe to present the things to you that you've been working towards.
Yes.
I'm used to trying to drive the play, and I'm like, all right, I'm driving this bitch. Okay, hold on. We're going to get here on Tuesday. We'll be here Thursday. On Friday, let's get this thing buttoned up. We'll be rolling over there. And then they're like, no, dude, it's not how it works. And so I'm just like, I'm just in a constant state of learning, and I'm grateful to be able to like see life that way, to know like for all that I do know, I don't know shit.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? And people ask me like, oh, dude, you're doing so great. I'm like, dude, anytime you see me doing something, it's the first time I've ever done it. There's a whole bunch of fuckery going on in the background behind that we're just like keeping behind the curtains. Like people see events, dude, if they knew some of the wild shit. I mean, like, I'm talking about, like, in the back of the van, like, getting product ready to, like, just, like, really having to make
flying by the seat
evasive maneuvers, like a hard pivot. But we keep it clean. We keep it clean up front, though. So, yeah, I mean, I'm enjoying it. Mm-hmm. It's not easy. I've made more sacrifices. If you were like, hey, if you want to get this, you have to sacrifice A, B, C, D, E, F, G, X, Y. Are you still going to do it? I would be like, nope, I'm going to go work for Terrence. Yeah. You know what I mean? But I'm glad that I didn't know in advance because it gave me enough, courage to start the journey.
Yes.
If I knew, no, I mean, I'm a pretty brave person. Dude, this thing has been on some days, I feel like on the days that it feels unlikely, I'm like grateful for it, because some days it just feels impossible.
Yeah.
I hate those days, but I'm like, I'm way past the point of return. So it's like, I just want to keep pushing and see what's on the other side. Because like a lot of people meet that opposition. They get to that door and the knob's so hard to turn that they just turn around and leave. Yeah. But I'm like, dude, you don't even know what's on the other side of that door. It could be everything that you want. Yeah.
And you forgot how much you took to just to get your hand on that knob.
You forgot what you had invested, whether emotionally, financially, whatever, you know? So it's like, I kind of like really like see it as you have to be ready for the journey. Whatever that journey looks like. Some people's journey's easy. Some people's journey is funded. I've had people along the way, like homies, that have been like, hey man, I'm like, what are you working on? I'm like this and that. And they're like, oh man, check it out. Yo, listen, I got 50. Let me throw it in there and help you out. You know what I mean? Like, definitely like a couple of those guys. You know what I mean? Like, I just don't know how it would have happened if it didn't happen the way that it happened. Yeah. You know what I mean?
Absolutely.
But like, cause I'm not from here, and like the people that have helped me are all like, I've never like had to like call home for help. You know what I mean? I was like, hit up one of the homies here. Hey man, listen, I think this shit's gonna work out. You want to help me out and I can just get you back? Yep, no problem. Come over. Boom, boom, boom. Write you a check. Boom, boom, boom. Yo, come over and grab cash. So like, I've had homies that have just like had my back, but and like, I talk to like my barber because he's like my therapist. And I'm like, dude, I just work so hard and I'm just broke all the time. He's like, dude, I've known you for 7 years. He's like, I don't even know anybody that works as hard as you. He was like, everything that you want to have, he's like, you're not broke, dude. You're just heavily invested. And I was like, you know what? That's better than a haircut. Yeah. You know what I mean? So like, it just takes being able to hear people, you know what I'm saying? And accept their knowledge and their feedback and give it the weight and gravity that it deserves, because it might impact you. And just that one little phrase, shout out to Nev the barber, by the way. Just that one little phrase, like just took like 20 pounds of weight off my shoulders. You know what I mean? I was like, I am heavily invested. And I went home and then I started trying to figure out what the business was worth. And then that's when I started feeling a little better. Yeah. And then shortly thereafter, there was a conversation about like, all right, what is this worth? And now it's like, okay. And then so I still feel a lot of weight, but it's weight with a purpose, you know?
Well, it's important that people understand that when they see people who look successful in this business, that there are multiple small failures that you've never seen that person went through to get them there. I think so many people, when they see some of the larger brands or something that's so well branded as yours, they're like, oh, they must have just had someone else's money and they just kind of breezed through to get where they got. And it's like, no, this person spent their life savings 5 times over to do this. They've been working 9 days a week. I mean, it's like people don't understand necessarily all the work that goes into it. And it's important because there's so many people that look like us that want to be in this space, that want to develop businesses, that they need to understand that it is a horrible grind. There's going to be a million small failures, but that's just part of it, and you work through it. You don't give up. And just if you're persistent and you work extremely hard, you can build something.
Yeah, I mean, I'm trying to learn what days off and personal time is. I have a 4-year-old daughter. Well, she'll be 4 next week. And she makes me happy. So I get to come home and like cuddle up with her and she recharges me, you know what I'm saying? Yeah. But like, I can recall like, definitely there's been months where I've worked over 3 weeks with no days off. That means Saturday, Sunday, everything. Yeah. Just going in and getting it. And I don't complain about it. I just know somebody's got to do it. Yeah. And if I expect my guys to do it, I have to do it.
Absolutely.
So they've seen me do all that stuff. You know, like they've come in the morning and shit's done that they were supposed to come in and do. And I'm like, oh, dude, I couldn't sleep last night. So I just came in at 2:00 and banged it out.
Yeah.
You know, I'm not coming in today, but you're welcome. You know? So, yeah, man, I don't know. It's just the journey, I guess. That's the whole point.
I often like to ask folks, like, who in their family background has inspired them to be the entrepreneur they are today? Is it family members, grandparents, just people in the community? Was there anyone that you ever looked to that kind of helped show you that the path that you want to be able to take?
So one of my brothers works in tech, and he was like the first person that I witnessed in my family like follow a trajectory all the way through. Like he went all the way through college and then got out of college, immediately got a job at IBM, kind of like worked his way up, and like would come home like from college with his laptop, which were like back then like a laptop was like freaking a Lamborghini. Yeah. And he'd be like, here, let me show you how to do this and that, you know, and like kind of like got me into that. So I would say that he definitely had a really big influence on my understanding of like business and like knowledge and like weaponizing knowledge and like using it to, you know, achieve your goals. I would probably give it to him though, because he's probably the person that has been in my life the longest, that has been consistently like on a path, like relentlessly the whole time. And I feel like that definitely influenced me. I have my oldest brother who's also like very much the same. He's more of like he's a businessman, but he's more like hands-on, but he starts like, you know, businesses that are labor heavy. Mm-hmm. But I guess it's just like both of my brothers, like one of my brothers like kind of raised me. So
that's awesome.
I was able to like see him go from being like my bigger brother, like stepping into a father role when I was 12. So like, I mean, a lot of my family, I guess, had an influence on me. My uncle, he played a very big role. I think I learned about people from him. Mm-hmm. Everybody loved him. Anybody that met him was like, dude, your uncle's the fucking man, dude. Like, people just gravitated towards him because of his disposition. Like, he was always smiling. That type of guy, like, we'd be downtown in Boston, like, 8 homeless people would go by and he'd have a $5 bill for every one of them. Here you go, here you go, here you go. I'm like, damn, you're going to do that all day? He was like, they keep coming, they need it. Yeah. Right? So I feel like I took a lot of things from people in my family. My mother was an entrepreneur. Mm-hmm. She owned her own business. She moved here from Selma, Alabama to Boston, opened a hat shop, learned how to sew, was making all the Sunday hats for the church ladies and stuff. So I guess it's just all in my genetics, you know, and to carve your own path. So I guess it's not really one person. I think it's just the whole family kind of like fostered this idea that like you can do anything.
That's awesome.
I mean, I chose to do the wrong thing for a long time, but you know, now I'm choosing something different. That's cool about choice.
I love it. Thank you so much for telling your story, for being here. I think I know of you just because like you have the most well-branded hash holes, some of the most well-branded products in cannabis, but to like really hear all the things that you went through to make this happen is huge. And I think one thing, most important thing is takeaway is you have maintained great relationships with your partners, the people working for you. And so it's allowed you to help build this business because you have people's trust. And you kind of said, oh, I was just able to do it. But that's a really big deal. To be able to have integrity and be the kind of person that people want to trust and want to invest in is really important. So you being able to cultivate that and be able to maintain that is really, really huge. And it's a testament to who you are and what you've been able to build. So thank you for coming to share that. And we look forward to doing some events with you in the future.
Let's log in.
Hell yeah, brother. It was great. Thank you. Thanks, everyone, for joining us for another episode of the Color and Cannabis podcast. It was awesome having Armande from Original Dunkz up here. We have more great people coming soon. Stay tuned for more great episodes. Thank you.